Alright folks, so before we dive into this Snaresaturday video, I gotta be real with all of you. I never thought in my wildest dreams that this would become a reoccurring video throughout my YouTube channel. But seeing all of the comments and seeing how many of you are actually looking forward to this every Saturday, plus I love talking about gear, so putting all of that together, it's kind of a no-brainer. But there was one viewer, Al, from Al's Drum Hang, and I'll put a link in the description below to his YouTube channel so you can check it out. Al left a comment saying it would be really cool to see a comparison between the two heavy snare drums that have been featured in the Snaresaturday series. And the drums that he's talking about, the Ludwig Epic Brick and the Bell Bronze snare drum that I built. So in this Snaresaturday video, let's go ahead and do a blind test to see if you can hear the difference between the two. Yo, what's going on everybody? Nick Costa here, and in this video, we're gonna do a heavyweight battle between the Ludwig Epic Brick and a Bell Bronze snare drum to see if you can hear the difference between the two. To make this a little bit more interesting, it's going to be a blind test, meaning you're gonna have to use your ear to see if you can hear the difference. Now, before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. As the saying goes, you are the company that you keep. And thanks to somebody who has been following the channel for quite some time, Al from Al's Drum Hang, they left a comment on a video saying it would be really awesome to see a comparison video of the two heavy snare drums that have been featured in the Snaresaturday series. And it's a great idea because both drums are known, or at least they were advertised, as being heavy drums, meaning the physical weight of them. And being that one is wood and the other is metal, this is going to be a really cool blind test to see if you can hear the difference between the two. Now, a Bell Bronze snare drum is almost known as a holy grail drum. As a matter of fact, if you try to find some of those iconic Bell brass snare drums, like the Tama one from the 80s, even some of those Jeff Ochiltree ones that are floating around, or the countless imitations that companies started spitting out as soon as people realized how sought after these drums were, it's safe to say they have a really unique sound, and it's most likely because of how thick and dense they are. But then you have the Ludwig Epic Brick, a 20-ply birch snare drum that was designed in a time when everybody wanted a really thick shell that was tuned and cranked up really high to give you a super direct, bright sound, which is also what the Bell Bronze or Bell Brass snare drum is supposed to be known for. The difference is that the Epic Brick is a whole lot cheaper and is still a whole lot cheaper than a Bell Bronze is. And maybe there's a reason why. So let's find out together. So let's talk about the specs of each drum, and let's start out with the Ludwig Epic Brick. This is a 6.5 by 14, that's depth by diameter, 20-ply birch shell. Unlike the other Epic snare drums, which was a birch and maple hybrid, Ludwig made this specifically out of birch and made it a thick shell because, once again, the time that they released this, that was what everybody was going after. This drum is outfitted with 20 single-sided Epic lugs, which means there are 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom. Now, this drum is outfitted with triple flange hoops, and based on the time that this drum was made, they're most likely 2.3 millimeters. It is equipped with the standard Ludwig Epic throw-off and butt plate, as well as the generic Ludwig wires that are supplied on Epic snare drums. And I'm only saying that because I am not sure if they are the same as all of the other standard snare wires that are offered on other Ludwig snares. Finally, this drum has been outfitted with a Remo CS Dot Coated on the top and an Ambassador snare side on the bottom, which is different than what was on the earlier videos because that is the head combination that I have on the Bell Bronze snare drum. Now let's go ahead and talk about the specs of the Bell Bronze snare drum. The shell and hoops were made by Duluth Manufacturing. Now this shell and hoops I got from Duluth in 2020, so it was 4 years ago. And at that time, you could customize the shell to whatever your specifications were. And in this case, I went with a 7 by 14 shell. Once again, depth by diameter, and the alloy is CA907 bronze. Now this shell was 5 millimeters thick and then was milled down to 3 millimeters in the middle. So what this means is that the re-ring area on the top and the bottom are 5 millimeters thick, and they are 1 inch in depth. And then the remaining 5 inches in the middle of the inside of the shell was milled down to be 3 millimeters. Now, if you are interested in the edges and snare beds of this shell, it is whatever Duluth would put into them. The only options you had were to cut the edges and snare beds yourself. Now, I never got the information on what the bearing edges were, but what I do know is that the snare beds were about 4.5 inches wide and about 3/32 of an inch deep from the center of the bed to the edge. Now, this drum was outfitted with 10 double-sided brass-plated lugs from Ludwig, as well as Ludwig's P88 AC throw-off and butt plate, also brass-plated. Now, the hoops on this drum are also by Duluth, and they are CA954 bronze. And because there are 10 lugs on the drum, these are 10 lugged hoops. Finally, the drum was outfitted, like I mentioned earlier, with a set of Remo heads. It's a Remo CS Dot Coated on the top and an Ambassador snare side on the bottom. Finally, the drum is outfitted with a set of German snare wires from WorldMax. Now, these are the snare wires that we would put as standard wires on every drum that we built at MCD, because out of all the other snare wires that we tested on the steam bend solids, these gave us the sound that we were going for. So I put them on this drum. So it is time for the heavyweight bout. 2 super heavy drums, although that bell bronze is a whole lot heavier than the brick, to see if you can hear the difference between the two. Now, this is going to be a blind test where I am going to play each drum through 3 different tunings: a low tuning, a medium tuning, and then a high tuning. Now, within each tuning, I will go from one drum to the next, and it's up to you to use your ear to see if you can hear the difference between them. So let's get started with this blind test. But rather than staring at a blank screen or my face, which apparently is a combination of Corey Wong, Brandon Towles from Drumeo, Harold Remus, Buddy Holly, even Elvis Costello, here's a bunch of royalty-free B-roll. All right, so you've had the opportunity to hear both of these drums through 3 different tunings. Feel free to leave what you think each drum is in the comment section below, because that's a whole lot more fun than scrubbing to the end of the video when the drums are revealed. But if you are unsure and you would like to hear these drums again, let's go ahead and do this blind test one more time. So here's some more royalty-free B-roll. All right, so now that you've had that chance to hear both drums through 3 different tunings 2 separate times, did it confirm what you believed the first time that you heard them? Or did this second go around have you change your mind? Either way, leave it in the comment section below, letting me know. And now it is time to reveal which drum is which. But rather than me telling you, here is the video that goes along with the audio. All right, so were you right? Were you able to hear the difference between these 2 drums? They have pretty distinct sounds, and to be honest with you, I don't think that they're supposed to sound similar. So what do you think? Do they sound similar, or do they sound like a 20-ply birch shell and a super thick bell bronze shell? Either way, I would love to know what you think, so leave it all in the comment section below. Now, if you have any other additional questions on either drum, or maybe the gear that I am playing, or how I tuned each drum, feel free to leave that in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to answer them. Now, if you are interested in hearing these drums through a few more tunings, I put links to the videos where I feature each drum individually in the description below. And if you want to check out the entire Snaresaturday series, I also put a link to the playlist in the description below. I'll also have it come up right here to make it a little bit easier for you. Finally, there are a few ways that you can help support this channel. The easiest way is just to give this video a thumbs up. That just makes it a little bit easier for others to find it. You will also find that there are a few affiliate links in the description below, which includes the snare heads that I am using on both drums, my preferred snare heads of choice, as well as the Ludwig P88 AC throw-off and butt plate, which you could then install on your drum if you're interested, and a few more accessories that I think you should check out. And with that being said, that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the heavyweight battle between the Ludwig Epic Brick and a bell bronze snare drum. And until next time, see you later.